Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be talking about the biggest clown in all of sports, and that is Adam Rank, who has the Washington Commanders going 7-10 in the 2025 season. He does this every year, but I want to talk about it, and it gives me the chance to go over the Commanders' schedule and kind of give you guys my thoughts on their record and what it will be. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe. Trying to hit 16K subscribers, guys. Let's get to 16K subscribers before training camp starts. Just got out of the hospital, was putting out content there. I'm trying to get there. I need your guys' help though. So send it to your friends, family, and everything like that. Was actually at the hospital today just doing some check-ins and actually met a subscriber or two subscribers. So that was really, really cool. That was random, but really appreciate you guys, all of you guys. But let's get into it. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, don't give Adam Rank attention. But I think it is funny. And, I think he genuinely believes what he's, predicting here. And he does it every year. Last year he had them, I don't know what it was, but probably around 4 or 5 wins. Almost every single year he has them below what they are. And they end up going over it. And he also overinflates his own team in terms of the Bears. He has them winning like 10, 11 games every season. And obviously, no offense, Bears fans, but that hasn't been the case. And then there's some other teams where he just gets it, catastrophically wrong in terms of his prediction. He just gets it so wrong. He's probably one of the most inaccurate guys in terms of, predicting records for all these teams, but he has the Commanders going 7-10, winning against the Giants, Chargers, and then the Seahawks, Lions, Dolphins, Broncos, and Eagles. So interesting how he had it all set up there. Like some of the teams he has us beating, I might have us losing, and a lot of the games he has us losing, I just don't know how he has us losing to some of these teams. Like these 3 in a row to me seems very ridiculous. I mean, I don't think we're going to win all 3 of them, but the Raiders aren't a great team. The Falcons are okay, and the Packers are good, but the Commanders should be able to win, at least one of those, probably 2 or 3 of them. So, for me, it just, Adam Rank, like I said, an absolute clown. I made a video about him last year. Last year after the Commanders beat the Commanders and Jaden Daniels beat the Bears, he just went on a rant saying that, Caleb Williams played better than Jaden, and, Jaden's milking an injury and all this BS. And, it is what it is. But, Adam Rank, he continues to have a job. It is what it is. He'll continue making these predictions. I think he has a job because of how bad his predictions are, that it gets so much attention, and I'm feeding into it, of course. But I think it's fun to talk about, and it's all fun and games at the end. If he wants to predict us to win 3, 4, 5 games every season, but we ended up winning 12, 13 games, it makes him look a lot worse, in the process, and we win some games, so that's good. All right, so Commanders' schedule, and we're going to get back to Adam Rank here in a second, but they have their preseason games, 3 of them, playing the Patriots. That's August 8th, so a month from today, actually. Then you got 10 days later, you got the Bengals at Washington, and at Washington, you got the Ravens. So cool there. Maybe I'll go to a game. Then you got the Commanders Giants at Commanders. I think that's a win. And then you got 3 games, right? In that process, I think you win 2 out of those 3. The Packers, that's a tough game. Thursday night, on the road, but they have done well in those games in the past against Green Bay, but they also have lost some of those games. At home against the Raiders should be a win, and I think one of these 2 they'll win, so that gives you 3. And I might be going to the Green Bay game with one of my friends, shout out Taylor. So that's 3 games. You play the Chargers away. I'm gonna go win on that one. I think they're gonna beat the Bears. It puts you at 5. Then this is the part where it kind of gets a little, tricky, and it's going crazy with thunder outside. I thought someone was banging on my door. But so you got 5 wins after this, Bears game right here. So you got the Cowboys at Dallas, you got the Chiefs, and then you got the Seahawks. I think and then they got the Lions. So that's a tough stretch 4 games in a row where I think it's a little bit difficult. I'm going to say they win 2 out of those 4. Let's say they beat the Cowboys and they beat the Chiefs. I know that's a random 2, but I think the Lions are going to be really hungry against the Commanders. So I'm going to have them at 7 wins there. I think they'll beat the Dolphins, which puts them at 8. I think they will. Let's see. So that puts them at 8. I think they'll beat the Broncos at home. I think that's a Monday night or Sunday night. So that puts you at 9. And then the Vikings are always good. It's a rookie quarterback, though. I think you should be able to win that game. So that puts you at 10. We'll keep it at 9. And then I think they'll beat the Giants. That puts you at 10. And then I think they will win 1 or 2 out of these last 3, which puts you at like 11 or 12 wins, which is a decent spot to be. Their schedule's harder this year than it was last year, so maybe they'll win more games than they did last year, but also it's very likely that they don't. Or it's like, it wouldn't be a surprise if they, lost more games than they did last year, because it is a tougher schedule. You don't have a lot of gimmies on this schedule. Like even the easier teams aren't as bad as they were last year. Like the Giants, they're not I don't think they're a good team, but they're not a terrible team. They got a great defensive line. They got better quarterback play. They've improved some of their positions. The Raiders aren't an awful team. The Falcons are fine. The Bears are going to be fine. Like I don't see a lot of teams here. Like I could see possibly the Dolphins being really, really bad middle of November. I could see that. But like I just don't see a lot of really bad teams on the schedule for the Commanders. And hey, iron sharpens iron. I think that'll be good for the Commanders, playing all these good teams heading into the playoffs and, preparing themselves the best way they can. So I think 7-10 is a little bit crazy for Adam Rank, but, he has it out for the Commanders, Redskins, Washington football team. All 3 of them, he's been making predictions against them for a while now. He also doesn't like the fans. But hey, it is what it is. And, the Commanders hopefully, will get more than 7 wins and get to that double-digit plus mark season. I would love a division win. We can break that curse and, see what happens from there. And that's kind of it for the, Adam Rank section of the video. Tomorrow, the Commanders will be dropping their new jerseys, alternate jerseys and helmets and stuff like that. So I will keep you guys updated on that. I will very likely be buying one of those jerseys, and it'll be an alternate jersey for the 2025 season. And then for 2026, I believe they will be their normal jerseys. So they're looking more for a old school feel, at least more of the Redskins types of jerseys instead of the Commanders, which I'm rocking with. I think that's a lot better, and it can be a compromise between, some of the fans that are upset with the new name change. I mean, I guess not new at this point, but it's been a few years, but still, I understand it's frustrating for them. So making it a little bit more tied to the past would be good. I know I made the video about the name change yesterday because, the president did mention it and the reports came out that they're not going to do it. But, some people were mentioning the logo. So that could be a little bit more of a compromise, or, they could figure something out, maybe a different form of the logo just to keep people, a little bit happier with the whole situation. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys new. Got my gear on right here, HTTR, HTTC. And yeah, we'll see what the uniforms look like tomorrow. Peace.